All right. Welcome back to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode
Uh,
67 Vampires, with special guest Jon Colunga. And of
Kalunga.
course,
Yeah,
yeah, sorry.
it's all right. Actually, Kalunga is a place in Spain that where they dug up a lot of dinosaur bones. Just a weird
Oh
piece of
wow,
trivia. Yeah.
interesting.
But sorry about butchering the name. Sometimes people butcher my name.
Oh no, it's fine. No, it's not.
But, you know, if anybody, I'll go around and introduce ourselves. You're on the channel here. I'm Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics. My co-host Jason Alexander, Frogbreaker Studios, there at the bottom, and then John. If you guys haven't watched a couple episodes back, he is a co-creator of Spleen. He is the
Blaine.
writer. Blaine. Oh man, my head's today. But yeah, Blaine.
Well, she's
Really
got a
great.
spleen, so
Yeah, really great comic. And yeah, so we're here to talk about vampires. So
Yeah.
before we get in the topic, as our guest, John, you want to talk about what you've been doing since the last time we hang out?
well, just just coming up with new ideas, just working on old ideas. Finishing up books. Sending them to publishers. Getting rejection letters, and but it's all part of the game.
Yeah, totally.
You can't let it get you down, or else you're not going to finish anything.
Right.
For sure. And is it with the same? Did you send same copy to the people who accepted your guys' first book? Did they reject it or no?
Yeah, we got rejected by a lot of, me and Landon. We got rejected by a lot of different comic companies for Bleen, and which is understandable. A lot of them were kind of like mainstream, comic companies or something, like Image Comics or Dark Horse, and
Yeah.
they're not trying to publish something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a little too, realistic, or
Right.
probably just a lot of the themes and curse words and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I loved it, but it was very specific. It had a specific target crowd.
yeah, basically people like us.
Right.
Just like the weirder, kind of more raw stuff.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, just been working, or working whenever I can, and
Yep.
Just doing good. So
Awesome.
Nice.
Glad to hear. And what about you, my friend?
Oh well, y'all know what time it is. It's always Fallbreaker Studios. Just come find me, Instagram, TikTok. I am going to be at the Comics and Color Comic Con in Boston next month, the end of next month. I'm
Awesome.
pretty excited about it, and I'm going to have a book ready. I'll have a book ready before then, but I'll have a book definitely to sell there. And I'm very excited about it. So it's a loose collection of like a few of the short stories and some of the poetry that I've done under the Ransom Notes brand. It's cult based horror. Like it's horror that's from my perspective as a cult survivor. So
Yeah.
I'm very, very proud of it. Like I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to like hold it. Like it's like the mini comics have been fantastic, and it's still so exciting to like read through them and even get them in the mail still at minicomicbundles.com. But like there's nothing like finally being able to like have something of yours like that exists physically by itself. Like even if it's self-printing, like I'm really excited about seeing it done. And I'm excited about raising awareness on something important in a way that will reach people that will hear it that would never hear what I had to say about my upbringing. So I'm pretty excited about the next few months.
Right on, dude.
Awesome. Yeah, the video you sent me, that you made a collage of, really great
Yeah.
video. You know, I say it all
Thanks,
the time.
man.
Just it's great to see not just your writing, involved, but like the artwork that you have done for
Yep.
Ransom Notes
Yep.
has just been really good, and
Yeah.
it just
I
fits the
appreciate
topic.
it.
So,
I'm just trying
and that's
to
just not. And
trying
people
to
out there watching, that's not just his friend. Me, I've seen his work evolve over the last, what, 2.5 years we've been friends.
yeah. Yep. It's been pretty awesome, Ronnie. So like I'm glad you've been along for it, but
Yeah.
I'm excited to get Ransom Notes started, and I'm honestly excited to finish it. But like I
Awesome.
feel like now I'll have the steam to do it. And so
Mhm.
I'm hoping that a lot of people get interested in it so we can make it as good as it can be. But this one is coming up is pretty personal, and it's also like I think a lot of people will dig it. So I'll be sure to get some feedback from you guys as soon as I have something to send you, because
Yeah,
it's always
yeah,
good to hear
because
what other writers have to say about a comic.
yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
it's not
Yeah,
like writing. Like it's writing, but the final product is really not like writing. It's just storytelling. So
Yeah.
it's I think it's important. It was important for me to do something on my own,
Hmm.
so I can have a better voice, or at least a better viewpoint when I am working with an artist. To have gone, I try to go through the paces every day. Like I don't need to do the hundreds anymore, because I that's just part of my daily routine. Like sick, tired, or otherwise, at this point, I'm either writing or I'm drawing or there's pen on paper every day. So I'm
yeah,
excited to see it finished and get some feedback on it.
Sweet.
yeah. I mean, there's nothing like it, you know. I remember when me and Landon first saw, Bleen, like all four of the issues together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In a graphic novel. I think he's actually sent you guys. Did he send you guys a couple of those?
Yeah, he sent something to Ronnie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. All right.
yeah. He sent me a book of it. So yeah,
Yeah, and when you see that for the first time, you're like, wow, like it's crazy to think how you you conceive something, you know what I mean,
hmm,
and then
Yeah.
and then you put in the work and the effort, and most importantly, the care, you know,
yeah, for sure.
into
Yeah.
making it come about and to manifest,
Hmm.
and
I
and it
I
just
remember. Yeah, I totally remember that with the minis. Like it's cool
yeah
to see it.
yeah because you're just like, wow, like I can do this,
Yep.
it's almost kind of like setting yourself up for the future too, where you
Yep.
don't have any excuses anymore.
Hmm.
Right.
It's like
Yeah.
you've done this before, you can do it.
Yeah.
So
Right. It's funny because when I see the minis, and now like being in comics for 2 years, there's people who only know me as a comic book writer. What's up, Frank? How's it going, man?
Frank,
There's
what's
people who
up?
only know me as a comic book writer now, and like my son is very vocal about the fact that I write comics. Like even the people that I don't even care to talk to, it's like complete strangers. Like my dad is an awesome comic book writer, and so it's like now it's like okay, I guess that's what I am. So I better show and prove now, so he's not a liar,
Right. Right.
yeah,
For sure. But it's a great
exactly.
feeling.
And like you said, you inspire others too. You know,
Yeah,
Hmm.
a lot of people don't realize that when they're on their game, it's like you inspire other people to be on theirs.
absolutely, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Definitely agree. All right. Well, for me, everybody, as always, go to Tapas and check out, if you haven't already, the 3 episodes of A Vengeful Heart right now. You know,
Nice.
as so I already showed Jason some of the work I'm doing for the next episode. I feel confident enough that I am gonna have this first issue done before the end of the year's over. You know, that's what I'm
Awesome.
pushing.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
You just gotta
And
keep
then
grinding at it.
yeah, and then I decided I am gonna sell it through the Comics Wellspring website
Oh,
store.
nice.
Yeah,
Awesome. That's
because
cool.
they all you have to do with them is order the copies to be sent through their store. Well, it'll be your
Yep.
personal store, but every time when a product is out, you just rebuy it and it go back in there. But they do other stuff. So as posters, well, have a poster for the show there with our logo. But I thought it'd be
Yep.
cool just to have like other stuff, to not just for the book, make posters for the book, but make
Yep.
posters that would promote the show here. Because besides my work, I'm always trying to promote the show, telling
Yep.
people about me and my co-hosts, because now we're not just live on Instagram, but we're live. I mean, not Instagram. Tired today. Not live on YouTube, but we're also live now on Twitch. So just going around Twitch, talking to people. Now we have up to 120, followers on our channel. So yeah, just been super
Very
busy
nice.
promoting
Yep.
not just my work as a comic artist, but as a co-host podcast. So
Awesome. Yep. I really enjoy the show, Ronnie, man. It's been a fun ride.
for sure. But yeah, but with the Comics Wellspring, like I said, they have posters. So I thought it would be cool to like maybe once in a while come out with like a cool poster that had like a guy arm with a knife and a girl tied up, and it'll be like Comics Deli Morte presents the slasher. So make
Yeah.
it where it
Yeah.
looks like old school 80s horror movie posters, and
Yep.
have them once in a while out on the shop so people could buy
Yep.
those posters. Because besides comics, people my age and other people younger, you love posters,
Yep.
especially movie posters. So I just thought it'd be cool to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that'd
Because
be cool.
as an artist, you always need to have more than just one revenue.
Right.
So, but yeah, so yeah, we're Twitchers now, Frank.
Gross. You can be a Twitcher.
And
Ronnie, what are we talking about here today? What are we doing? What's the topic?
Yeah.
vampires.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say,
Yeah, we had to promote ourselves. It's been a while.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah. But yeah, so
I'm ready to
vampire.
talk about some vampires. Yeah, man.
Yeah. But yeah,
So where
with
you
the
want to
first-
start, man? You lead the way.
I think we should start with Nosferatu.
All right.
The old school black and white movie didn't have like any dialogue in it, just silent film. But the Nosferatu design is just
Creepy.
a real creepy, but amazing too. Like just with the pointy ears and the way the teeth look. Just I remember seeing it as a kid, and it's like that's terrifying.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely scary. Like there's no question. Like there was no like cunning vampire. Like Dracula was like the debonair, handsome stranger, but like Nosferatu was kind of like the
Yeah.
chupacabra of vampires. He was
Yeah.
like a monster without question.
Yeah,
I mean,
most definitely.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like that footage was for that older movie was made way before we were born. But like, even as little kids, it's so creepy to see that guy, especially when you're a kid.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. It tapped into whatever made you afraid as a
Yeah.
young kid,
He's like, there's something weird and wrong about this, you know.
right?
Yeah, for sure. But then it was that image and makeup design was so great. Stephen King had to come out with his own version. Like Salem's Lot is just such a great vampire movie
Yeah.
and book by itself too. And
Yeah,
you know, anyone who hasn't watched the movie, you need to watch it. Like it definitely that makeup reminds me directly of the Nosferatu. Just the way the ears were pointed and the front sharp teeth. Just
yeah.
really great movie and book.
I don't know that I've seen that one. I'm pretty sure I haven't because I feel like I will remember a Stephen King vampire movie. So I gotta check. I'll put that on the list for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, I have to wait.
But what what is it that makes vampires so interesting though? To you,
Well,
for you guys personally.
uh that they are something that's terrifying, but they could easily be hidden among other people in a crowd, especially at night, because they just look like a normal person until they turn into their vampire mode. And just, I don't know, the whole sex appeal to it. Like later on, you just had, even with Dracula, you had his three brides. So
Yeah,
with vampires, unlike werewolves, werewolves, unless you know you're you're a furry and you love that stuff, but a lot of vampires, are have a lot of sex appeal. For instance, True
yeah,
Blood, that was a
yeah,
die-hard movie that people loved, that had a lot of nudity and stuff in it, but it went on for many years because the vampires have just a sex appeal to it throughout
yeah.
pop culture.
Yeah. Yeah,
What
it's
about
Um,
you, John? Oh, Jason, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think for me, it's gotta be, well, it's gotta be that thing that humans always have this fear of something that looks like them that's not really like them. And
Hmm.
yeah.
vampires have either been around for forever or they're so powerful that if they really showed up, there really would be, there's nothing you could ever do about it, right? So I think that it's either like what if the next step above us is not nice?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
because there's really no competition in the real world for a vampire.
Well,
So,
we're not. Our species isn't very nice either.
well, no, that's totally true, but we're not good at it. You know what I mean? Like at the
Yeah,
end of
we're
it
not
all, like
very.
we're not very good at it.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're just like, but yeah, they. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much just that, just the mystery, the appeal of
Yeah,
becoming one of them too. You know,
right.
it's like
Yeah.
because it kind of like allows you to escape from the fear of death or the fear of you know being powerless because when you're a vampire now you're up here, you're like you're above the rest of humans now, and
And
um
that's exactly how I grew up, waiting to live forever and waiting for power. Like,
yeah, and so that's why it's just very appealing to people. I think just
yeah,
the whole concept of vampires, and
Yeah.
but it's like I said, another great vampire. Not only, well, obviously it was a novel first by Anne Rice, but the movie.
Rest in
Uh,
peace. She died
yeah, yeah.
recently, the past year.
Rest in peace, Anne Rice again. Yeah.
Mhm.
She or the movie that was made based off of her books. It was really good. And because I think it brought out like the whole message that that it was trying to communicate, that basically people don't really know what they're talking about when they say they want to live forever.
Yeah.
You know, because it's kind of like saying, you know, it's like something that no one's ever done before. So it's like,
Right.
how do we know? You know, how do we know the actual downside? You know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
because like, yeah, because it covered in the, you know, in the books how, you know, you could be immortal, but in the end, at some point in your you know, your many centuries of being alive, at one point you end up being alone. And who really wants to be alone? I mean, sure, we don't know what it's like to live forever, but for a lot of people who get older in age, I mean, look at Betty White. She, before she died, she was almost 100 years old.
And yet
She,
he's not a vampire.
yeah, right. But it's one of those things like we get a taste of what it's like when a lot of us have been alive, where we've seen like, you know, our parents, even our best friends, you know, start passing away and we're still alive. And people like Betty White probably had a sense of that, you know, where a lot of her people she was friends with are all gone. And yeah,
Yeah.
it gets lonely. It really does.
Yeah, yeah. And not only that, but it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like that how everything is different for a person when they're a child. You know,
Yeah.
where everything's new, everything's, you know, every
It's
experience
all
that you,
magical.
Right.
yeah, it's a very magical experience because everything's new, and you're just kind of like, wow, you know, I've never felt this before, I've never seen this before,
Right.
and
Yeah.
so it just kind of, you know, um, so you don't know, and then as you get older, you know, the experience of life becomes a little bit more challenging, you know,
Mhm.
to kind of keep that, you know, and that's probably why we're writers and creators, you know, because we're trying to keep that feeling alive, that of, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
magic, I guess you could say, you know, that and
Wonderment. Yeah, you gotta.
wonderment, yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be more and more fantastic. Like, you know, right now, like in my horror stuff, it's like it's got to be scarier. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
how hard can you ride that line? And it's just
Yeah. Yeah,
it's the
exactly.
only game. It's the
yeah,
only game that we really get to play. This is like this is as close as I ever really want to get to like a hunting expedition because I don't want to kill anything, but I also don't want to go hunting either. So like to be able to chase down a story and like create a world and create an adversary that
Yeah.
is really your better is a very can be a very exciting experience, you
Hmm.
know.
yeah, for sure,
And I think that that's the magic of vampires because it is it's like it's the devil of the creator's world. It's
Hmm.
like the ultimate earthly evil.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah,
And you know, I know John hasn't seen it, but you know, the movie The Lost Boys, it was one of those vampire movies, especially in the 80s, that revolved around teenagers, and it became such a cult classic because of like, you know, first you had like, you know, scary vampires, then you have people dressing up like Dracula, but now you have like
Yep.
these these one looking like 18, 19, 20-year old guys dressed up like bikers with the slick long hair and everything, and then they turn into
They were like the Pet
vampires.
Shop Boys.
Yeah,
It was like what
exactly.
if the Pet Shop Boys was the vampires in your like beach town?
Hmm.
Is
Sure.
such a cool movie, but it was a very safe introductory vampire movie for me as a kid.
For sure.
But it's aged really well. Like I don't know if you
Yeah,
watched it recently, but
I watch it.
it's
I watch it
aged.
every year around Halloween.
Do you? That's cool.
I know I
Yeah,
watched
it's
that movie so much as a kid. I could literally probably, you know, quote it word by word while we're watching the movie. That's how
yep,
much I love that movie.
yeah. No, that's
yeah,
such a good movie. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I still have to see it, and I will, you know. It's just I definitely have to see it now.
Oh,
It's really
Frank.
good.
Frank posted
I'm
something.
gonna get my 80s
Oh,
kid card taken away.
boo. Hey man, I just saw the thing last year. Like Ronnie and Gary and Aaron had been on my case to watch the thing. I'd never seen it. I
But
didn't see it until last
wasn't
year.
the thing? Oh no, that was the 80s. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
was
was thinking it was the
82.
70s for some reason, but yeah.
No,
Then I was
but
like, yeah, I
Such a
don't
good
think Kurt
movie.
Russell was in any 70s movies.
no, but
No, I
with
think he was 80s.
yeah, I think he pretty much started out in the 80s.
Yeah, he was almost Han Solo though.
Yeah.
So that would have been 77.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
if Kurt
but
Russell could have pulled that off as well as Harrison Ford did. But, yeah.
No,
right.
Harrison Ford is Han Solo. There's nobody else.
It's because he's got that charm about him. That's why, you know.
Right.
Kurt Russell doesn't really have that. He's a mean mugger.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell is like a hungry man dinner. You know, like
Yeah.
Harrison Ford was like the steak and potatoes on like the aluminum pan by like the cowboy campfire.
Yeah.
But Kurt Russell was like Salisbury steak and like frozen mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
With the microwave brownie.
With like some expired A1 sauce and everything.
Right.
Yeah. Gotta
No,
make
but
do. Yeah.
no, but with vampires, the 90s was dedicated to nothing but the vampires. Me and John talked about it a little bit, but the 90s came out with Buffy the Vampire Slayer TV show, and then it came out with like the spin-off series with Angel. These two shows were like everything as a teenager
Man,
because
Buffy
everyone
was
was,
so good.
yeah, and Angel was great too, you know.
Yep.
And sure, like they had other things like monster flies, werewolves, and stuff like that. But a lot of the dialogue that had to do with like, Angel was a vampire that had a human soul, so he had sympathy and all that stuff. Just really great
Yeah.
storytelling there. The makeup design for the vampires, how they turned was really great.
Yeah. It's really
And
a shame. Really a shame about old Joss Whedon though, you know? Like
yeah, but just because of someone doing that doesn't mean you discredit the work that the actors put in because they're the ones who made it possible.
sure, yeah, it was a good show. Like at the time, like I watched I think I've seen every episode of Buffy. And
Yeah.
it was a good show for sure.
Mhm. Yeah, because you didn't see a lot of shows that had to cover like witchcraft or any of that.
Yeah.
So, even going outside, we'll probably talk about another episode just about witches because you could talk a lot about that too. But
Yeah.
John mentioned Charm. That was a big show out at the same time. But also too, people forget that the Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though they're not calling it canon, the very first Marvel movie that
Blade.
showed that hey,
Damn right it
you can
was.
make a great yeah, Blade came out in 1998. It came out even before Toby Maguire Toby's
Yeah,
Spider-Man movie.
that was 2002.
Yeah.
Yep. And
And
Blade was good, y'all.
yes,
Like
it
that
was.
was a
Yes, it
that was a
was.
good ass movie. Yep.
Like a lot of people, who doesn't know comics and everything, all they know is that this is a good movie with Wesley Snipes as a half vampire killing vampires. But
It was perfect for the time.
yeah, it was. It really was. But
It's kind of like what? Oh,
go
go
ahead.
ahead. Oh no, I was just gonna say that vampires are like it's a concept that you can build a lot of different kinds of concepts around.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Yep.
It's like it's all it's like you can turn it into biker, 80s gang, 80s biker gang. You can make it really old people from the 1600s or whatever. You can make it
Or westerns like we did for American Vampires.
Yep.
yeah,
You know,
or just anything. You can just add so many different kinds of concepts to it, and obviously not all the concepts that you can add to it would make it interesting, but sometimes people will kind of like hit it, you know. They'll hit the
Yeah.
nail on the head. They'll be like, wow, this actually makes, you know,
Yeah,
it's a
you
good,
can try different things, like
yeah,
Underworld.
Yes,
yeah,
Underworld, great
like,
great series.
yeah, vampires versus werewolves. It's like, you know, they, but instead of just making it like, it was also very, like, you know, martial arts and guns and all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah, it was kind
you
of
can add all that
futuristic.
kind of stuff.
But they did something that people always wanted to know about. What would you design a creature to look like if it was half human, half vampire?
Yeah,
I mean, half werewolf, half vampire. You know,
yeah.
really great designs there. But yeah, but going back to Blade, I people want to say stuff, you know, they could say it, but with Blade, especially the first movie, it came out and made so much money that I guarantee it that if it didn't do as so well as it did in the box office, who knows how the Marvel universe would have went off, because Blade brought in money to Marvel because Marvel was
They
going
made 3 movies.
yeah, Marvel was going bankrupt. So this movie helped bring in like a lot of money that they were losing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you can just build a lot of different ideas around it. And some aren't that great, but like, you know, ones that we've talked about already. Um,
He said Paul Rubens made a great vampire. Yeah, for anybody who hadn't seen it,
Uh,
before the Buffy Vampire show, they had the Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, and Paul Rubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, was a vampire in that movie.
yeah,
AKA Pee Wee Herman.
yeah. He was. See, Paul Rubin is also someone that you can build a lot of ideas around too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It was basically
Was-
his comeback. You know,
what was that movie called with him where he played like it was about it was kind of like a spoof of like a superhero movie,
Mystery Men.
Mystery Men. Yeah,
Yeah.
the way that the character he was in that movie was just like it was disgusting, but it was funny.
Yeah,
It was very topical, like it was very on the nose for him to make fun of
Yeah,
himself a little bit. But
mhm,
no, I enjoyed that one too. It's pretty funny.
yeah. But you know, and it's actually a great topic too that we're talking about because yeah, the spleen, that was his name,
the
that he was
spleen.
able,
Yeah,
The
yeah,
spleen.
because he would, what was it, it's like I farted near a gypsy woman, and then I blamed it on her, so she cursed me as whoever dealt it
yeah,
smelt it would be doomed for life. Yeah,
yeah. But you know, any movie with Ben Stiller is going to be kind of weird. So
Yep.
yeah,
even though Zoolander does kind of still crack me up, but you know,
yeah. No, but perfect with the vampire setting, because pretty soon we're all going to be able to see, you know, more Morbius, or is that the thing? Morbius, yeah, the
Oh
vampire.
yeah. Yep.
Just seeing the last trailer that came out, the way they designed his vampire to look like, really great design makeup there. Or I don't know if it's CGI, but still really great vampire effects there.
Yep.
And it just, you know, even if you took that outside and saying that it's not a Marvel movie and it's just a vampire movie, people are going to go see it because in the end, people love vampires. That's why with Dracula Untold came out, so many people like that movie just
yeah,
because they're like, oh, you know, we get to see Dracula in a new modernized movie, but he has powers, and of course he's always had powers, but the way he used them in the movie by like having a bunch of bats in form a giant fist and then pound onto the people who are trying to invade the castle. And I think
Yep.
that's another reason why people like vampires so much, because with the werewolves, yes, they could run fast, they could hear and smell, But with vampires, it seems like different vampires have different abilities. You know, you have
Yeah.
ones that could turn into smoke. You have ones that could shapeshift into other animals like a wolf or stuff like that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just a cool concept. And yes, Frank, I know you said Twilight, but I'll at least give one thing about Twilight that I like, because I had to sit through it with my niece, who now is 24. But as a little kid, she loved the series, and the only thing I liked about it is that the vampires, each vampire had like a different special ability. Like one could
Yeah.
like see the future, another one could like inflict pain onto somebody physically by just looking at them. But I always thought that was interesting, like total, like even with Anne Rice, you know, with
Yeah,
Queen
yeah,
of the Dam, they had the Queen of the Dam. She was able to literally catch people on fire by just waving her hand. And that's what I
yeah.
always thought was
So,
cool, is that,
yeah,
you know, vampires, you could be a vampire, but you could have other superpowers in a sense.
yeah. Well, it was like that in Interview with the Vampire too. Like Lestat could read people's minds, and
Yeah. Hmm.
Louis couldn't.
Yeah.
So, but one game that I played a lot in the early 2000s that I really enjoyed was Blood Rain. Now
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that the movie was really corny and everybody like, so it kind of gave it a bad rap. But like
Mhm.
that first game that they came out with for PlayStation 2 and
Yeah.
Yeah.
GameCube was like, it was pretty cool because you could go in like vampire mode and you're just like moving faster than everybody and cutting them to pieces and everything, and they're like dying in slow motion and everything.
Yeah.
And it was like the first time that I think a game ever did something like that. So it was really
Yes, but
interesting, to be
Yeah.
able to.
yeah, really good.
We didn't have a lot of violent video games other than Mortal Kombat. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
even still to that point, like there were a few like over the top like cheesy ones, but there were no good games that were super violent other than Mortal Kombat until Blood Rain. Like
yeah,
that
Yeah.
got you
For
into
sure.
it at least.
yeah, and it was really cool to be able to go into that kind of vampire mode because like
Yeah.
sometimes you would get into a room full of like too many Nazis or something like that, and you're like, oh, I know what to do, go into vampire mode.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even have to fight them. You could just run out of the room.
Right.
It's like, and it would, and from their
Yeah.
perspective, it's like you just kind of disappeared in a flash.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, Frank, I agree with that. Rice did change the landscape for vampires in media, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. That movie, especially when they made that one part of the Vampire Chronicles that she wrote
Mhm.
Yeah.
into a movie. I don't know why they didn't really do any of the other ones, but because Interview with the Vampire was actually just one part of the Vampire Chronicles. And
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah, and
As
because Claudia, the little girl vampire that
Yeah.
kind of died in that movie, she actually comes back. You know,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, she comes back much later,
oh, really?
and that just kind of like goes to show you like how they actually really are kind of immortal.
Right.
They can be
Right.
kind of like they can be delayed or like inconvenienced or something, but they're not just going to be gone.
Yeah. It,
Yeah.
it also gives you a chance to tell like really cool stories of like bitter, like lifelong enemies that were once like super close, like siblings, or even like had
Our
a
friends.
like a marriage or a dynasty together, but now like they're opposed to each other because they've been
Yeah.
around for like so long.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Oh, have you guys seen Castlevania on Netflix?
I
Yes, I
haven't
have.
watched it. Like I've almost started it a couple times, but I haven't watched it yet.
I know it's not
Great
just
series.
yeah, it's not
But
just
the
strictly.
the video games were amazing. My wife and me
Yeah.
were actually last year playing it for Nintendo.
Nice.
Yeah.
So
And I know that it's not all about vampires, but it's
yeah.
they've got Dracula in there, and they've got
Yeah.
Alucard and everything, and
Mhm.
so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, that series is like, I don't know. I had to stop watching it after like season 3. I was like, I still have to finish the last season, but I was just kind of like, man,
Well,
this show is
well,
kind of
even
giving me. It's really depressing.
Oh yeah.
even before that, you had the animated series. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, Van Helsing. Really great
Oh,
vampire
Helsing,
show.
yeah.
Yeah,
Was that the anime?
yeah, the anime where he had the red hat and
Yeah,
everything. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah. I remember that coming out.
Really good
Like, I think it
anime.
was like the mid 2000s or something like that.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
really good
So,
stuff. Oh
but
yeah,
yeah, I
Frank made
mean,
a good comment.
what is it?
Go ahead. He was
No,
talking
go ahead.
about Count Chocula. Even there, kids vampires, kids cereal.
Oh
I
yeah,
thought you said
A
Frank
vamp.
made a good. I thought you said Frank made a good comment. No, I'm joking,
it's-
Frank.
And it just and there, it's even as little kids, even if you're not allowed to see a vampire movie, we were still introduced to vampires because of the cereal.
No, you're totally right though. No, I do remember seeing all the Count
oh,
Chocula and Boo Berry commercials.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it's totally a part of my childhood. Like those
Hmm.
commercials are. I
Yeah.
never ate the cereal because I didn't like marshmallows in cereal.
or just the Count and from Sesame Street.
Right.
Yep.
Hmm.
Well, yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. They're pretty fun. It's a fun genre to kind of mess around with, and
Yeah.
you can do
But yeah,
anything.
you can even do comedy like What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, that's a great show.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know.
I don't know if you guys have seen it, but Dracula Dead and Loving It
Oh
is,
yes.
Oh,
Oh
with
my god.
Leslie Nielsen.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Mel
gold.
Brooks one, the Mel Brooks
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
That was like that. I still watch that movie to this day, and just
Yeah.
whenever I'm
yeah.
bored,
Renfield, you idiot. Yes, master.
yeah, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
ridiculous. But it's like it just makes fun of, like, the British and the
Yeah. I
it,
just
it's like
remember
it's
Red.
that
I
classic kind of like very un PC Mel Brooks humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember with that movie how like the three brides, even they were always in the book and everything, they were always very like sexualized, and they're rubbing up against like the bedpost, and they're like, "What are you doing to that bedpost?" And it's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Ruby, Ruby." Pretty funny stuff in that stuff. But yeah, great show. But oh yeah, the because the dogs, yeah. But do you guys remember Dracula 2000? Did you guys ever see that one?
I never saw Dracula 2000.
Yeah, that was interesting
Yeah,
because, well, Frank, he already said what it was, but pretty much saying how Dracula in that movie was Dracula was actually Judas. When he hung himself, he didn't die.
Oh,
He became the first vampire.
wow.
That's why they explain in that movie why vampires are their weakness is silver, because what was the thing that Judas did? He sold Jesus to the Roman Empire for silver.
Yep. Interesting.
Mhm. No,
it's
but
true.
one movie that was very, you know, it was gory. It had sexual content in it. Bram Stoker's Dracula with Keanu Reeves and all of them in it. Do you guys remember that?
I just remember I remember the butt hair guy from it, but I never saw the movie.
Yeah, the butt hair guy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Did
I've
you ever
never
watch
seen
it,
that
John?
one either. No. I've never seen that one either. So,
Yeah, it's pretty violent. It's gory, but then it has its other parts to it. Like, you know, I'll just have you guys watch it, but it gets weird in some parts.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
tell me what to do,
Yeah.
Ronnie.
yeah.
I'm joking.
I have all these movies I have to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing. As I'm not gonna lie, like as a kid and any of my family members or friends who grew up with me, my family was the type of family is like, hey, let's go to Blockbuster Video and rent out a movie. Okay, kids, what do
Yeah.
you want to watch? Oh my gosh, that front cover design is wicked. It has a big scary monster on it. Let's watch it. So it was
Yeah.
one of those things that, uh that I had older siblings where they would try to sneak me into the latest like Nightmare on Elm Street movie that came out. Like
Yeah.
my sister was like 17 trying to sneak me and my brother in so we could watch what was it? Wes Craven's New Nightmares. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm. But yeah, just as a kid, TV movies, I probably seen almost every single 80s horror movie out there. So,
Nice.
that's why I'm able to sit here like, do you remember this or remember that? Like I was talking to John, another one that's really good is Near Dark with Bill Pullman in it. It came out around the same time as Lost Boys, and it kind of has that concept in it where they're
Yeah.
biker people going around killing people, but just very good stuff and very
Yeah.
creepy too. Just
Yeah,
because those two movies there had a lot of gore in it,
Yeah.
at one point. And it had that concept too that I like. Of course, you don't see a lot of books talk about it, but I like how, especially the Lost Boys, established like when you kill a vampire, they die in different ways. Like one could like turn into stone and then disintegrate. One could implode. One
Yeah.
could explode.
yeah,
I like
yeah.
that concept. You know,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how the vampires died. Oh, like back to Blade. Like I remember those
yeah,
being like pretty intense death scenes from those
yeah,
vampires. It's pretty cool.
hmm yeah. Like,
Hey, who's some person? Hey, some person. Frank, y'all holding down the
yeah,
chat. Appreciate it.
yeah, for sure. But is there any movies or anything that really came to your guys' mind besides the ones we talked about?
Oh, what's that one movie where those people got stuck in Alaska or something? Was it?
Oh, 30 Days a Night. That was
Yeah,
a good one.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
yeah, because
that's a good
it kind
movie,
of showed
but it's
them.
actually based off a comic book series.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was like it kind of showed vampires in a different light instead of being kind of like these elegant, intelligent. They were more just kind of like animals. You know?
Yeah, they were there to feed. Like they were there because they
Yeah,
could feed for 30 days in a row.
yeah.
Yeah,
It was just more of like a killing frenzy kind of thing than it was like them just being dicks or something.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, because but it's a great concept. Like you guys was saying, like imagine a whole, what was it, a month? Yeah, 30 days. Yeah, a whole month.
Yeah.
Like I could only imagine like being like not even having vampires around, but like waking up and then going to bed, and it's just gonna mess up your sleep schedule because all you are experiencing is night all the time. But just the
I
idea of
think
like
if you
trying
had
to,
those
yeah,
vampires on you, Ronnie, the last thing on your list of concerns would be your sleep schedule.
Yeah,
wait, yeah, I agree. But it's like one of those things like you're literally living in an attic for a whole month, hoping that they don't decide to
find
try
you.
to check the
Yeah.
place where you're at.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's a
But
pretty creepy
just-
movie.
Yeah.
And I always thought it was cool too, because a lot of vampires movies do this as well. That until you take your first bite, you taste blood for the first time and become a full-fledged vampire, that you could still be a half vampire because you were turned into one, but you still have all those abilities. You're just not as strong. I always thought that was cool.
Yeah. You know what I
Yeah,
liked about 30 Days a Night? I like that it didn't end with them just winning. Like, because it's not in that
Yeah,
kind of movie, it's not really realistic that you would make it out
yeah,
of a town like that. So it really was like you really were pulling for Josh Hartnett's character, but
yeah,
there was no way he could win and survive.
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, even with winning, I mean, literally, the whole city is being taken over by vampires. So even if you do make it out alive or kill them all, everyone you pretty much know is gone, and everything that you ever worked for is destroyed.
Yeah.
Hello, some person. They're just saying hello. So I'm just like, checking out the chat there.
No, but yeah, but that's what I just wanted. Like last week we did werewolves, but with vampires. I just wanted to talk about vampires because there's so much vampire culture out there, and like I said, everybody, even with Halloween costumes, like you don't see sexy werewolf costumes, but you see sexy vampire costumes, and
Hello.
it's at least I know myself, and there's probably other people I could talk to around Halloween time that someone has at least in their lifetime went for Halloween as a vampire in some way.
Yeah.
I was,
I was a
I'm more,
Jehovah's
Yeah,
I was a Jehovah's Witness, so I was kind of my own kind of vampire for a long,
yeah,
long time.
yeah. Oh yeah, dogs barking.
Yeah, but like think about it. Like Jehovah's Witnesses have this weird obsession with eternal life. They have weird rules about blood, and they also suck. So it's like they maybe not in the right order, but they fit all the description of a vampire.
Yeah, gotcha. I hear the children of the night, the dog. Yeah, but I I
I
really
don't know
can't
if that,
think of anything.
I don't know
Go
if
ahead.
that muting, I don't know if that muting worked or not, but
Oh, it did. It did.
oh, okay, good.
But yeah, there's I'm trying to really think of other something else to remember, but there's just so much culture, like video games, cartoon series, and everything. Could just
Yeah,
talk on for hours about it.
if I mean we've talked about vampires so many times because it's woven into the thread of horror. Like that is one of
Yeah.
the key components of horror is even if it's not what you write, like I haven't written a vampire story, but it's something that you have to be aware of if
Well, like
you write
Frank said,
horror because
I made Frank into a vampire in my comics, so
Yeah,
there you go, for Jason. What Frank said, a cult of vampires sounds like a cool comic.
oh yeah, I got plenty coming. Like you just stay tuned.
No, but I think that's pretty much what I got.
All right.
We're almost
Well,
at the 1 hour mark. We got 5 minutes off.
really? Holy mackerel. Yeah, you're right. 55 minutes. It didn't even seem like that long.
Yeah.
No,
I
I mean,
mean,
I knew it was going to last a while because there was just so much to talk about.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of cool vampire stuff out there. We probably forgot maybe a couple of things, but
Yeah, totally. But no, it's I think we all know vampires are
Yeah.
exciting.
And I don't know, and John, you're more than welcome. I don't know how many people I could get. I know what was it? Last year we did uh a Halloween special where people dressed up in costumes and came on the show. We had quite a bit of guests. So I'll see if I could get like some other guests on the show that from the past, but we're in March right now. And if I'm not mistaken, it's March 17th. Happy St. Patty's Day. But if I'm not mistaken, from what I checked, 2 months from now is going to be the second, you could say birthday anniversary of the Comics Della Morte show. So in 2 months, we're
oh,
going to be been doing
nice.
this for
Oh
two
shit.
years.
Wow.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So yeah, definitely met a lot of cool people. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know what I want to do, but I definitely want to get like a whole group of people on here and celebrate 2 years. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
yeah, just like a whole dozen
Like a
people. Yeah,
we'll
cool.
do like a best of show.
You should ask Landon
Right?
again. I think it would
Oh
be
yeah.
interesting to have both me and Landon on the show at the same time, so we can
Yeah, that'd
talk
be
about
yeah,
both.
I'm definitely planning to do that with you guys.
That'll
Yeah,
be
because
fun.
Like also too people who I'll probably get Team Manicore out there because I
Yeah.
know before we do the reunion show, I know I want to get Team Manicore on because they love the thing. And I know our buddy loves the thing as well. So it'll just be cool to have a whole episode talk about the thing. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely I want to do a celebration show of 2 years.
Yeah. Totally.
yeah, that would
Break.
be. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. Monster Mash episode. Everyone dresses as a monster. That'd be funny.
Yeah.
I mean, like I don't really go on a lot of podcasts and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
you know, that's just because I'm just like I'm not like a rock star or anything like that.
It's one of those
Um,
things. It's one of those things
yeah,
I understand. As a writer or an artist, we're so focused in our
invisible.
craft. We're so
Yeah,
focused in
I
our
was like,
craft.
sometimes I just want to be
Yeah,
left
yeah,
alone,
yeah,
like
yeah,
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 put
yeah.
me in
But that's why a
put me
lot
in
of
my
us.
dark cave and let me
Yeah.
do it.
But that's why a lot of people don't do cons just because they understand the creative side, but then when it comes to business, they're kind of like they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
yeah. It's kind of like my inability to be social is why I'm creative.
Right.
Yeah,
So it's kind of like you can't, Um, I mean, I've gotten a lot better at being social with people over
Yeah.
the years, but I mean, if you guys
Yeah.
knew me like 15 years ago, I was a very, I didn't know how to communicate with people at all.
Yeah.
gotcha.
I was very weird. It was kind of like, I actually had to study how to socialize, you know.
Yeah.
Like I read books and all that kind of stuff from people, like socializing for dummies and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
And then the dog, he's got to get his 2 cents in.
All right.
Is it? Yeah, you got some
It's
pro
cool.
tips.
There's actually a dog trying to break into my room right now and kill me. So,
Wow, you imagine that is like a grim reality, but like that's a very
yeah,
I'd be like, geez, he should have just said he didn't want to be on the show. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
we
So
get it.
Yeah. So if a dog flies into the screen and just starts mauling me to death, like
Yeah.
Right. No, but
We'll do a
yeah,
special.
thank
We'll
you.
do a special show next week for you.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Tribute.
But thank you,
tribute.
Frank, and thank you, some person, for being in the chats. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot,
And,
Yeah,
guys.
thanks for
and
being involved.
I don't
guys.
know what we'll talk about next
Mhm.
week. I'll see if I could get another special guest, or we'll try to
Yep.
find a book. I mean, that's the thing. Sometimes we started off doing book reviews, and they're fun and everything, and I like to promote other people in their work. It's just sometimes reading a whole book, it's time consuming, so it's good once in a while to like just have shows about, talking about horror stuff in general. So we
Yeah.
can still focus on working on our craft, but come together and just have a good hangout.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that in this like self-publishing age, it's more important for us to always like get to know our community.
Yeah.
Even like what we do is kind of, I don't want to say it's secondary because it's why we all know each other, but at the same time, I think that it's important to get to know your neighbors, like
Yeah.
in real life, like not the way I used to say it, but like for real. Like, and it's not even like being friends with everybody, but we should always know what everybody's working on because that's the only way we can get better. So,
Yep. For sure.
It's always interesting to see other people's approaches. Like, Ronnie, your and our books are totally different, but John,
Mhm.
like your writing style and mine is different. But I get the way that both of you guys write. I
Mhm.
totally do.
Yeah.
And so it's just fun to like talk to different people's brains, even if it's not about like crafting. Like it's just
Yeah.
fun just to kind of shoot the shit because you learn about how people write and you can feel it after you read it when you just talk to
Mhm.
people sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that you guys read Gleam before you got a chance to talk to me because usually sometimes people just don't. It's kind of like when you don't know the person yet, you kind of like
Yeah,
understand. It's
Yeah.
it's almost like you're just thinking of the story and that's it.
yeah,
You're just
right.
thinking of the
Yeah.
theme.
Because
And
you have a lot of people that'll come on to other shows and talk about the Kickstarter of their book, but then the people, besides outside of that, they really don't understand the book because they haven't actually read it. So, like you're
yeah,
saying, it's good that we read the
and
stuff first and then put on the person so we have a connection already.
yeah, and I've done a lot of interviews, and stuff like that over the years. This is the only like kind of like video live podcast that I've ever been on, but
Awesome.
I've been on
Mhm.
yeah. But
I'm
I've done
glad.
audio.
I'm glad we're the
Yeah,
first.
yeah. I've done written and audio interviews and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So, um, and sometimes like I look back at them, you know what I mean, because Blaine's been around since 2014. Well, it's been out there basically,
Yeah.
and some of the interviews that I did back then, like I just listened to them and I'm just like, why was I, you know, what in the world was I thinking or talking about?
Right.
Because even just 8 years can be like a real long like a person can change a lot in like 8 years.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And
Sure.
So and sometimes I would get interviewed by like these people that were just real stupid. Like they would just
No. Yeah.
they would just ask dumb questions. Like I remember this one guy asked like how do you as a full grown man put yourself in the mind of like a teenage girl, and I was just like,
What?
yeah, and I was just like, well, I think I answered by saying, if I recall correctly, I said, I was like, well, that's why I write and you don't.
Yep.
It's like I have that capacity,
Right.
Yeah.
and it's just kind of like an ignorant question to ask anyway, because it's just kind of
Totally.
Right.
it's like saying that you know, as people, you know, our gender is what, you know, determines what it is that we think like, or what we think about.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep.
Oh, of course. I
So,
mean, being a horror artist, a horror creator, you know, I'm literally like doing research on like, oh, I wonder, you know, let me look up movie reviews or let me look up like, you know, stuff like this to make sure that if I have like a gory scene, that I'm getting the stuff like almost accurate. And they're like, man, you must have a sick mind. I'm like, no, I don't. If you get to know me, I'm one of the most nicest people you'll probably meet. You know?
Yep.
yeah, we're it's funny because it's kind of like, you know, it's like, well, if you're gonna ask me how I could put my mind inside of Bling, it's like, well, how do I put my mind inside of a talking burlap sack of rotten bananas? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Yep.
That's what everyone needs to ask themselves. Is, you know, how do you put your mind in there? You know, but
Yeah, for sure.
but it's very metaphorical. You know what I mean? And I crafted it that way on purpose. You know, and I took a long time to really think about all the like you know, the nuances and all that kind of stuff that I wanted to put in it.
Yep.
And it was very, you know, it's almost kind of like nuances are kind of like a code that you put into your work. Some people are going to get them and some people aren't, you know.
Oh yeah.
Nuances are not for everybody.
Yeah, they just don't get it because they can't think that way. You know, some people are just like, oh well, this book has the word, you know, the F word in it a lot, you know, not FUCK, but you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Right.
And you know, so they're just kind of like, oh, you know, why is it, why do you have that in there, that's so bad and stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, but you gotta understand, you know, it's in there because of the fact that I'm trying to express that there's
Exactly.
this stuff is in the world and there's something wrong with it, you know.
Yeah.
It's like why is there an angry, you know, teenage girl who's clearly, you know what I mean, like gay, you know, why is she so angry at Bling, you know? Why
Pay attention. Right. Pay attention. What are we doing here?
Yeah. It's like, why is she projecting so much anger and disapproval onto Bling, you know, even though she's not even like that, you know what I mean? It's like, it's because that's what happened to her, you know. She's a victim of that, and of just being made to feel ashamed, and you know, and I'm just like, you know, I just put that nuance in there because I think that it sticks out, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It stands out.
I'm sorry, Ronnie. I know you're ready to go, but like,
no, I'm good. I'm good.
This is like
we could talk like, longer. I don't care.
Like this is kind of like, this is where I like it. Like this is kind of where we reach the point that I enjoy, because the horror that you wrote in Bling is very hard to not be off-putting.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be off-putting.
Yeah.
But it's hard to, that's like walking the razor, because when I write about my cult stuff, it has to connect, but at the same time I can't feel like it's pandering, because then it loses the weight of it to me. Because by any other name, like stories like Bling, parts of even Uzumaki, like Ransom Notes, that's horror trauma. Like the reason that it's horror is because it has like relatable trauma for a lot of us in it.
Exactly, relatable trauma. Yeah.
Right. And so that's my only connection, because not a lot of people have been Jehovah's Witnesses, but more people might have been in a cult, but also more people might have just been in a bad relationship, in an abusive relationship. And it's all the same, like it hits all the same notes, and you have to reach sometimes. And the things that like bounce around in your head in bad times, not like just things that you observe, and you have to understand what they mean when you hear them. you have to say that stuff pretty loud for people to understand that feeling that you got from it. So it's very easy to like feel like you're trying to be offensive for the sake of being offensive. But no, like the horrible shit sometimes that we have to write is horrible shit. So
Yeah.
it's not, I'm not supposed to put a bow on it. Like your reaction is exactly what I want the right way, because I want you to be off put, but I don't want you to be offended. I think. I think I'm saying that right.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's an
That's how.
offensive topic sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it gets them to listen, basically.
Yeah.
People are like, oh wow, wow, that why is that even in there? I'm just like, well, why shouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Like,
You think it sounds bad. Imagine some people have to live through this stuff.
yeah, some
Exactly.
people they do, and just everything in it is like with Bleen, even just the Bleen character herself is very it is a nuance in and of itself. You know,
Right.
she's a
Mhm.
very she's a good person who was the victim of like abuse and basically became a bad person or became like a murderer because of it. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
she basically and Mr. Wiggles, he well, actually I wanted to talk to you guys in this. I don't know how much time we got left,
Oh,
but
we could talk a while.
okay,
This
well, just
show, yeah, it
just a
was
little bit.
dedicated
Yeah,
to vampires, but this is a show
yeah,
about us hanging out as artists as well.
yeah.
Yo, we no.
Yeah, but Bleen, her bunny friend, Mr. Wiggles, he's
Yo.
very he kind of like resemble or represents the for like not just the Bleen, but like kind of like for everyone, like the most important thing in the world to you, you know, and you
Yep.
have to kind of ask yourself, could you still be a good person if the most important thing in the world was taken away from you,
Yeah,
and that's
facts.
kind of like what what I mean, because being a good person is like you know it's only really means something if you do it even when you don't get what you want, you know.
You have no agenda. Like how many of us are good with no agenda?
Yeah, exactly. It's like so being a good person is only you know it's more of a sacrificial thing. It's more of a kind of but even when it comes to being sacrificial, you know you're still just trying to get something out of it. It's like
Yeah.
you're trying to create good karma for yourself, basically. And
Absolutely. Yep.
and but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's better than a world full of people trying to create bad karma. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But because if we didn't at least have those kinds of people in the world, it'd probably be a much worse place. But on a side note, well, not a side note, but it's very relevant to what I was talking about. But Bleen was actually, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but there was a video game made in that came out in 2015 called Fran Bow, and
Called what?
it's called Fran Bow.
Yeah.
And now I'm not saying that this is what happened. You know what I mean? Because I'm not trying to like be like like state this as like some kind of fact or something like that. But they pretty much, from what I can tell, you know, they took the idea of Bleen and made it into like a video game, basically.
What? No way.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
because and I've gotten a lot of, you know, or a few comments here and there, you know, with people being like, "Oh, this, you know, this comic is like Frambeau," you know, and I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
actually, it's the other way around," you know, like, because there's just like too many, you know, like coincidences about it, you know,
Yeah.
about that, you know, because me and Landon, before we got it published, obviously we were kind of naive and maybe not very smart about how we shared it on the internet, you know, and
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden, you know, like we were putting it on DeviantArt back in 2013 when we were really working on it, and then all of a sudden, this you know, teaser for Frambeau comes out the same exact year, you know, and a lot of the stuff that it copied was actually only in the first issue, you know, like it kind of takes everything from the first issue, all the concepts, all the, you know, everything, and makes it into its own thing, you know. But I mean, if you look it up right now, you know, the synopsis of Frambeau, you might, like, you know, look it up right now, you know, like you're gonna be like, wow, this is clearly a ripoff of Bleen.
That's crazy. No,
Look
I
what Frank
never
said.
knew. I have to check that out.
Yeah, I have to look that up.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
But
I
that's
knew
why
Frank was a goggle shill.
right? But that's why I think that Bleen would make such a great book for today, because the fact is that, you know, if you read the plot, she goes to a mental hospital. Back then, you really didn't talk about that stuff, and that stuff really wasn't talked about, especially in pop culture and in Hollywood. But now, so many people that are famous have killed themselves because of depression and mental illness, that stuff like that could really relate to people outside of the horror aspect to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of regular people that are hurting themselves every day, and it's a shame. It's really sad.
Yeah, exactly.
So okay, so the synopsis is Frambeau is a creepy adventure game that tells the story of Fran, a young girl struggling with a mental disorder and an unfair destiny. After witnessing the gruesome and mysterious loss of
What?
her parents, found dismembered at her home, Fran rushes into the woods together with her only friend, Mr. Midnight, a black cat.
Oh, what?
Yeah, a black cat that Fran had previously received as a present from her parents. In the forest, Fran goes
No.
into shock over the loss of her parents, and when she recovers, she's at Oswald Asylum,
Oh my
an
gosh.
oppressive mental institution for children, and Mr. Midnight is nowhere to be found. After having a
What?
dream, yeah. After having
Just
a
like
dream about
just like your book, she had a rabbit.
yeah, named Mr. something, yeah.
Right.
After,
Exactly. Yeah.
and
Crazy.
and that's not where it ends either, you know, like obviously that synopsis is very, very similar in a lot of really convenient ways, and but
Right.
also there's a lot of, you know, artwork in the video game that, like, there's actually a one of Frambeau standing in a hallway with the cat with a checkered floor, and the
I was
monster
gonna ask they use a checkerboard
yes,
floor.
yeah. There's a monster
Wow.
creature that lives in her room that talks to her and everything. It's, yeah, they totally stole my idea and made way
Wow.
more money off of it than I did.
So
Wow, that's a drag.
kids in the end, make sure that you're always publishing at areas where you know that people could back you up if someone steals your stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, always copyright your stuff. It's
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
Yeah.
and definitely don't ever put your ideas online unless you know that it's copyrighted, at least.
Right.
But even then, even if you have it copyrighted, if it's not published and well known, or at least published out there somewhere,
Mhm.
someone could still just take the idea anyway.
Yeah.
All they have to do is just tweak
Right.
it a little bit, change it a little bit, and then it wouldn't even matter if you had the copyright or not.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so don't share your ideas, out on the internet. Do not. That's actually why I'm so, in case you guys haven't noticed, I'm extremely vague about my ideas, my future ideas,
That's cool. No, I totally get it.
No,
Totally.
that's understandable.
because I made a mistake. I put an idea online that I had, and and I'm not even actually the one who discovered it. I had people at first, like when the trailer came out for it or whatever.
Mhm.
At first, people
Yeah.
were kind of like trying to hit me up. They were like, "John, look at this, blah blah blah," and I was just like, whatever, busy working or whatever. And then when my brother sent me a message about it, that's when I knew something
Yeah.
was up. I was like, my brother hardly ever talks to me about my my writing and stuff like that. So so
Yeah.
Right.
he was like, "John, look at this," and I kind of looked at it, and I just was like, I was like, it made me kind of angry. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, that's
absolutely.
a true horror story right there.
Yeah. That's the true horror story right there. Someone stealing your idea
Yeah, that's
and,
tough. Yeah.
and making money off of it. Because they've made like probably at least tens of thousands of dollars off of that game.
Wow.
It was on Markiplier and everything. He was like, "Whoa, this is such a creepy original idea and everything." And I was just like, I'm just sitting here just seething the whole time. It's like,
Yeah, how can you not be? Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Right.
So it's just kind of like, you gotta be careful. And it's like I said, it's one of those things that's like, I can't prove that they took my idea, but at the same time, it's kind of like saying that but if you just look at it, you know what I mean? You look at all the coincidences, all the ideas. It's just like how could
Yeah,
that,
but
how
if
can it not be the truth?
Yeah.
even in the description you could have changed Fran to Bleen and Mr. Midnight to Mr. Wiggles, and it would have
Yeah,
been a
the
suitable
same
description
exact,
of your book.
Yeah.
the same exact synopsis. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, they do have some differences as the story goes on, but just stealing the structure of it,
Mhm.
was very
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Well, you can tell there's definitely some very odd coincidences.
For sure.
plenty. I mean, and I haven't even. Yeah. She says, or Sal is. Who's that again? Frank
Yeah, Frank.
says that
From
Frank
the-
looks like him too. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. So it's just kind of like, if you look at the artwork, if you just look up some of the artwork for Fran Bow, you can see there's actually one of like a doctor guy like driving a car like this with her in there with him and everything, and it looks
Yeah.
exactly like a panel with Miss Cunningham like driving Blaine to the asylum and everything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's just nothing I can do about it. It
Yeah.
sucks.
Right.
It's like,
That's the problem as an independent creator. You can't really
Yeah.
do much.
yeah, and you end up getting like frustrated by it, but at the same time, it's a lesson. I
Yeah.
left a comment on their like several years ago on their original like Fran Bow trailer and I said, "Wow, this really reminds me a lot of my the story I wrote." And I kind of left a link to it when it was then published by Alternate Comics. And,
Yeah.
and the woman who created Frambeau, she replied almost like 5 minutes later, you know,
Yeah.
saying like, she was like, "Nope," and but this looks really interesting. Thanks for sharing. And I was just like, and then but my comment has since been deleted. You know what I mean? You can't find that comment on that video anymore.
A hit dog will holler, because that would just be something to say, oh, awesome. You know, that's really
Yeah,
cool. We should link up and like talk about our similar stories. Not
Yeah,
no.
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a big
yeah. I
red
could
flag
give you some
there.
more ideas. Yeah, no,
Right, exactly.
Right.
We want to write a sequel.
yeah, and there's just too much that's really like weird about them.
Mhm.
But anyway, I just thought I would share that with you guys. I
Yeah,
usually
man,
don't like to
that's
talk
really
about it
stinks.
because it's something that's really um, you know
I'm
it,
sure it's
it's
very raw. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like you can't get people to believe it, but
Mhm.
I know in my in my mind and in my heart that it's the truth,
Yeah.
and
right. Absolutely.
sometimes that's all that matters. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you're a very honest artist and you make all your own stuff, you're not a thief, you're not a scumbag. Eventually, yeah, the scumbag thief, they'll get away with it at first,
Mhm.
but eventually the truth reveals itself over time.
It
Yeah.
always comes
For
out. Yep.
for instance, out there, anyone who watches the show, I know some people know this artist because he's friends with them, but perfect example, Pepper Perluca, I think that's his last name. His He had to create another Instagram account because his first Instagram account was hacked, and it's still hacked to
Yep.
this day, and Instagram has not really done anything to cancel that other account.
Yep.
Oh
And it's
wow.
sad because this guy is a great artist, and he does all of his comics in watercolor paint. So just for him to do that is amazing, and he just doesn't do it in watercolor paint like watercolors that you would get at a Walmart. No, he buys the actual like solid like texture things, the texture like I don't know, crayons or whatever you call it, and then he makes his own homemade watercolors. So he
Yeah,
does
it's
a
pretty
lot of
cool.
work. He does amazing
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Look him up, Pepper Beluga, Beluga. But like I said,
All
his
right.
Instagram was hacked. All those followers and all that work he did for years building that social media is now gone because someone hacked their account. So, it's always best to always have your stuff not just on one social media platform, but have in different places. Like if you
Yeah,
can
For
yeah,
have
sure.
your own have your
Absolutely.
own have your own website, anything you can.
yeah. Don't ever just make one thing. Yeah,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean, even that sucks, because it's just like, because even just building up a social media account with like minus all the hard work on the art is a lot of work.
Oh, Frank said
Yeah. Well, I think
Frank said he was DM'd by Pepper's hacked account. That's crazy.
yeah. I think my dog's bladder is officially full. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to wrap this up so I don't have to
yeah,
clean something up later. It's
Oh,
a
it's
it's a
cool.
wrap up or ripe up kind of night.
You
yep,
know,
So I
everybody else
appreciate
that
you
joined
guys.
us, it showed us that four other people are here, so they didn't message. But hey,
Awesome, man.
you know,
Thanks for stopping by.
yeah, for sure. Watch it on the rerun
Hey
because
John, man, we
now,
should talk again soon.
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just
This has been
you
a
know
good
where
chat,
I am.
man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
All
you
right,
know where
man.
I am.
Well, hey, all right. Hey, y'all be good. Enjoy the rest of the
Yep.
evening.
all right,
All right.
All right.
Peace.
peace.
Bye. Hold on. I don't know how to do this.
All right. So I'll end it there. Thank you for everybody that's watching, and John, thank you for coming on. Like I said,
Yep, no
it
problem.
messaged you within this week, but hey, you know, all of us creators need to find a way to promote ourselves, and I'm glad that I could at least do that for all my artist friends out there, is to just bring them on and get people to know, because in the end, it's, as artists, it's not just about selling our own stuff, but it's about you know networking and building friendships.
Yeah.
So,
Yep,
but
for
you have
sure.
a good night, everyone, and
Yep.
see y'all next week. Peace.
Good night.